Hello and welcome to Back to the Booth segment once again. It's a special segment, so we have a special gentleman next to me, and this time we'll be talking about the law which happens in the worldwide rugby and also in the Sri Lanka schools rugby. Deloy Fernando, thank you very much for joining us once again. And let's have a look at the first incident, the Singer Schools Rugby League, the very first game, Trinity College versus Wesley College. And let's have a look at this. The very first game, Wesley versus Trinity. This is the incident. Here's the try scorer, Sakala Surya scoring that try. Then the Wesley number 4, Avishka just went and pushed him. It's a bit late charge. Then coming another push from Trinity, it's Rishan Madana. And this is the very first incident that we witnessed in the schools rugby opening game. And your thoughts, Dilo, on this?
Well, it's unfortunate it happened in the first game, but then we must also remember this is not netball or carom, this is rugby football. And it has happened many times before. I'm not condoning the act, but then you need to have action based on the World Rugby Code of Conduct. Maybe Dinka, one thing the referee should have done was call the both players, the captains, and after the conversion start off with a penalty. If I was refereeing, I would have first given a penalty against Wesley for Trinity for pushing that player, but I would have reversed it after that because of the number 4 retaliated. Retaliation is not in order because the referee was there, referee saw exactly what happened and he was going to speak to the player, but then what did Trinity number 4 do? He retaliated, and this is where everything started, I think. And then both sets of players got involved, the spectators got involved, and the bench, Wesley College bench got involved in the incident. Unfortunate.
Exactly. We saw this happening in the Larmaraja College versus St. Joseph's College back in Bogambara. But the latest that SLS RFA disciplinary committee has suspended this player for 1 year for the initial charge, and a few of the bench players for like 3 months, 3 games rather, and another 2 players, altogether 5-6 players from Wesley. Is that the right decision?
Sabir, again, I don't want to say anything about the decision made by disciplinary committee of schools rugby, but they should have had somebody or consulted somebody from the rugby union or knowledgeable person, or they should have a knowledgeable person in the disciplinary committee who's technically sound, because World Rugby has given clear-cut guidelines, and the guidelines gives very clearly if an incident of this nature happens inside in goal, pushing a player after 1 try is scored, maximum 2 to 3 weeks suspension. So I don't know how they have done one year suspension. I'm sure the Wesley College could appeal against the decision.
In that case, Dilo, do you think that Trinity number 4 also made the push which provoked the entire scenario?
Definitely, because it's provocation, also retaliation. As I said, if a penalty is given, you can always reverse the penalty against the Wesley player because the Trinitarian came and retaliated there. So provoking is even worse. You can see the number 4 what he does. He has no business to get involved there because the referee saw what happened, and he was going to take action against the Wesley player. You
said you will award a penalty against Wesley's number 4, but this incident happens after scoring the try.
Sabir, after the conversion, all referee could have done was go on to the middle and given a penalty, saying that I'm giving a penalty against Wesley, but at the same time say Trinity number 4 for getting involved, I'm reversing the penalty, and it should have been the other way around, So you show against Wesley first, and then penalty should be finally against Trinity for retaliation.
We saw few incidents happening in the Royal versus St. Joseph's under 16 game, I think, after the game, players going in having a discussion on that. But how do we stop this, Dilo?
Yep. What you need to do is referees also have to be really firm, and then the assistant referees will have to get in flagging in for any of these foul play incidents. But I think yesterday there was a meeting where schools, I was there as well, schools rugby had a meeting with all the club school coaches and the masters in charge. They were told very clearly, any incident of this nature happens in future, there will be proper action taken, and also coaches are told to talk to the players and make sure that they don't do this type of thing, because we must understand rugby is a sport, it's a physical sport, but then everyone must understand there are laws, there are rules governed introduced by the World Rugby, and you need to play within the framework of the laws of the game.
Absolutely. So that is the big incident in the first week of schools rugby, but the bench, no way they can come in, Dilroy.
Yes. A bench shouldn't have got involved, and also apart from that, there were junior players and spectators who got in. Again, Sabir, at the same time I must speak about this. So the World Rugby introduced high level of match commissioners course last year, which myself I was invited as well. So we have introduced it to schools rugby, which we did a training program last month, one full day's program for the match commissioners. So the good old days match commissioner role was even the rugby union games get taken the scores down, yellow cards and red card incidents and any substitutions, but that's not all, you know, anybody can do that, this type of thing, you know, updating scores. But match commissioner role is from the kickoff time, because most of the games if you say the kickoff is at 4 p.m. or 4:30, invariably it starts around 10 minutes late. You can't do that, especially if the games are live on telly or live streaming. You need to start spot on.
Absolutely,
you know?
yes.
And so we have introduced this. We have told the match commissioner to work with the assistant referees and make sure the games start on time, so they need to work backwards. Toss time, the jersey match kit inspection time we have fixed. And also the match commissioners will have to be at the venue 2 hours before, check the pitch markings, branding, everything is their responsibility, plus the checking of the ambulance, whether they have the proper medical kit, and also to, if the doctors need to carry out emergency surgery, they need to be have a place. So things like this have been introduced new. And one big thing we introduced was, again, the security. There has to be somebody in charge of the security, not the master in charge, because schools, if you take, master in charge can't be looking after the team, you know, arrange at half time, looking at the security, then looking at the doctor, ambulance, all those. So we need to have specific people handling those things. So these have been introduced. So one thing what I asked the match commissioner on that day was, why didn't you get the Wesley junior players out of the perimeter, because they were inside the holding. So from next week we are going to be very, very tough on this. And I will be also going to the match venues, and you know, if we see anything like this, we will immediately get the host team to make sure they are behind the fence. So we don't want to have repetition of this type of incident in future games.
Yeah, it's been the talk of the weekend, Dilroy, this Wesley at Trinity scuffle, but what a lovely gesture posted by Wesley College and the principal going into Trinity College and meeting the principal and apologizing.
Definitely, because I think it had happened in the past also. What they did, they tried to defend their players, saying that, you know, he did it because of this, but then what Wesley did was great. The principal took the initiative, took the captain and the players and went and, you know, apologized. And this is what rugby is all about. You might have a fight, but then after the game, you need to have a you know, drink, food, and then, you know, forget what happened on the field.
Yeah, maybe not for the schoolboys, those drinks,
but
soft drink. There you go. But that's a very good point Dilroy mentioned. Like he said, it's not carom or chess. Playing a rugby is different, but that number 4 is first the guilty person, and also Trinity number 4 provoking that. So that's the main incident in the first week of schools rugby. And the other incident we'll be looking at, the World Rugby in fact went into the conundrum. It's a confusion, great tactical ploy by Italy's defence against the RBS Six Nation match against actually England. Look at this now, tackler, not only the tackler is contesting here, Dilroy. If you can explain this scenario.
Yeah, Sabir, it's very clear the difference between tackle and a ruck. Tackle, the tackle player must release tackler must release tackle play first of all. Tackle player must make the ball available. Any Arabian player must go through the gate, and there is no offside line until a ruck is formed. So when does ruck form? Ruck forms when a player from each team, a player is bound onto each other and the ball is on the deck. That's a ruck. So here in this scenario, if you see, the Italy players are not getting themselves committed into a ruck. So what happens is the England team is going in and they expect the Italy players to come and bound onto them, but then they are not binding it. So it's open play, and players could play from any side of the pitch because there is no ruck form.
Indeed. We saw this happen in the Australia versus Ireland game, where Australian number 8 David Pocock took that interception playing from offside, which is not offside. And we also saw Toulouse versus Wasp game in the last month's championship game, where Toulouse opted the same tactical ploy. We saw last year's Super Rugby where Chiefs opted this ploy, and then once the opposition team start to pick and run, Chiefs to stop doing that. So I think here England is a bit late.
Yep. Now what happens is probably Italy, what we heard was they have spoken to the referee 1 week before, and he has clarified everything. Then also they wanted re-clarification on the day of the match, and he has said very clearly, this is the offside line, you know, and the ruck, and then at the tackle there is no offside line. It's open play, which then they implemented in the game. So they had a game plan, but basically what happened with England never expected this type of thing, because also in fairness to rugby football, what is rugby? In principles of rugby, what it says is the players got to be fair, and also rugby is all about contesting for position. So here Is it contest? No. One team is with the ball, other team is just and not going to committing themselves, they are not contesting. So if it happen, where is the game going to go? Will the spectators enjoy? Will the players enjoy? No. So I'm sure the World Rugby will try and introduce some kind of law clarification here, because otherwise what is going to happen is each team will do this and there will not be continuity in rugby football.
Exactly. Even England coach Eddie Jones said Trevor Chappell game of rugby, this has been played. But you said the point that Italy coaches did consult the referee before this game. But any of the Sri Lankan coaches did consult you after this incident?
Well, yes, very many. Yesterday when we had the school's meeting, a couple of coaches, Laga was there, Martis, all of them were asking. And I hope they will not try this type of thing, because what will happen is the game will not progress. There will not be any continuity. Each time player goes in, other team doesn't commit, so then they will start playing from offside positions. Then the game will not start moving. But then the thing is, in Sri Lanka it has happened many times. But here, what is happening is, if referee had allowed that type of thing, there would have been definitely a murder, because people don't understand the laws of the game and they think it's offside. It has happened many times. As you tackle a player, the ball pops out of the hand. It goes beyond desktop area, you can play from anywhere.
Absolutely. The referee was my man of the match, Roman Pite. He did really control the game absolutely well.
And he was very, very clear. He said that's a ruck and this is a tackle. And he also said very clearly, I'm only a referee, I'm not a coach. You need to ask from your coaching staff how to play and what how to come out with defending this type of thing.
Exactly. And this is probably the best scene out of this game. Look at James Haskell.
Well, no, we just wanted to know what the rule was, what the exact rule is.
If there's no ruck, there is just an area around the tackle on the ground, making an offside line, and that's it.
And they have to be 2 meters from the ruck.
1 meter, 1 meter.
So if I clear someone out and get him in, then it's a ruck. No.
But during the tackle, that's a tackler.
Right.
After.
I've never heard.
There you go. Even the commentator says, I never heard such a thing happening, Deloy. Also, James Haskell was asking the referee what should he do. And the referee, like you said, says he's only the referee, he's not the coach.
He's not the coach. You need to ask your coach what he should have been doing in an incident like this.
So there we go. Those are the tactical analysis of the concluded weekend of schools rugby as well as international rugby. Dilroy Fernando, thank you very much once again for coming for this special segment. So we'll see you next week with the more actions.
They weren't expecting this, they can't have prepared for it.
It's not a form. I can understand the frustration, but this is the law.
Roman Platt laying down the law.
I'm telling when it's a ruck, when there's no ruck, just play on, okay? I can understand.
Let's go, time, come on.